Hello and welcome to today's session. I am Shubhangi and I lead the branding and communications team here at And. I'm so glad that all of you have sort of chosen to spend this evening with us today. And I'm hoping that you really get to know Rubina and her journey and get inspired from it. Um, so, talking about this session, this is a series which is called Kaleidoscope. Um, we sort of started doing this because we wanted to share and bring into the and fold different designers and their perspective of design. And today's masterclass is led by Rubina. Um, yeah, so without further ado, let me start by introducing her and then we can talk about the session today. So, Rubina is a postgraduate in wildlife sciences. Um, Rubina is a postgraduate in wildlife sciences with diploma in graphic design, um, bringing together research expertise and creative practice. She has worked on diverse field projects, including studies on human-leopard conflict and primate behavior, gaining a nuanced understanding of human-animal interactions. Deeply committed to nature conservation, Rubina uses her skills as an artist and designer to communicate complex ecological issues in engaging and accessible ways. Her work is driven by a strong interest in wildlife conservation, fostering coexistence, and building meaningful connections between people and the natural world. With that, I want to sort of also talk about a couple things and then we'll come back to Rubina. Just give me a moment. What is special about today's session is that along with being a designer, Rubina is also an AND alum. She was enrolled in one of our courses. And with that, I also want to talk a little bit about what is it that we do and who is AND Academy. So, AND Academy is the brainchild of Dr. Jitin Chadda, who's also the founder and CEO of IIAD, Indian Institute of Art and Design, which is now called UDIT University. Um, so IID actually has degree courses in design, but and actually provides short-term professional courses, professional certifications in graphic design, interior design, and UI UX design. All of our courses are designed for people who have prior commitments in their life or aren't able to enroll themselves in a full-time course. So these are part-time upskilling courses. Although we do have these part-time courses, we do not compromise on the quality of education that we provide. And all of this happens online. So the kind of environment that you find in a design school offline, we sort of curate and simulate that environment for you in an online mode, without compromising on anything. Your teachers are experts or industry practitioners that are very much part of the industry, so they have their individual practice, but they're also academicians, so they're teaching this course while they're also practicing, so you get very up to date industry relevant knowledge direct from the people who are actively part of the industry. I've already spoken about our pedigree. We come from the pedigree of IIAD, which has been imparting design education for more than a decade now. All of the classes that we have are live and interactive. So, unlike YouTube or any of those pre recorded sessions that you find in other courses, this is a very much live and interactive course. Today, what we are doing is this is a webinar mode where Rubina will be addressing you and then she'll be talking about your journey, and you are sort of listening in passive mode. But our classes don't happen like that. Apart from these courses being delivered by mentors that are part of the industry, these are also created by mentors that are very much part of the industry. So, curriculum is also designed by such people. We also focus a lot on design thinking and how to actually break down briefs like a designer than just using softwares. So, software and tools is something that you do get to learn in the curriculum here at AND, but a lot of our focus is on understanding design fundamentals and principles, and so that sort of um, takes you farther ahead in your career journey. As you go through the curriculum, you work on multiple projects with your peers, with your mentors, you get feedback one on one in groups, and eventually those projects culminate into a portfolio which you can use to apply for jobs, for internships with your recruiters, employers, freelance clients, etc. And we also have a lot of faith in the kind of quality education that we provide, that we also offer job guarantee on some of our courses. Um, We've been around for 4 years. We have a community of 1,600 plus students, and we have transformed over 500 plus careers. We're also rated 4.6 on Google. So if anybody wants to sort of check us out there and enroll with us, you can just like find us on andacademy.com and leave an inquiry. Another thing that I want to sort of talk about is the referral program that we also run, because we do get a lot of students or people that want to enroll into design, but sometimes uh, they're sort of scared that, online is a bit isolating, or I will not be able to make friends. I think that is also something that we'll touch upon in Rubina's journey today. But we also run a referral program, which is a very exciting program. So if you just want to check it out, you can scan the QR here and fill a very short form. It'll take less than a minute. Um, I'll leave it on your chat also so that you can check it out later as well. If you want to scan right now, it is on your screen. You can take a screenshot and come to it again. With that, I will hand it over to Rubina to talk about her journey and her practice. What has her life been like since she started wanting to design and designing? Over to you, Rubina.
Thank you so much, Shubhangi. And thank you, everyone, for joining in today for this session. I am very excited to talk to you all and share a glimpse of my journey. So, before I continue, I'll just share my screen so we have that ready and you guys have something to see other than my face. So, we'll just do that. And I hope you can see my screen.
Yes, it's visible.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, perfect, perfect. Okay, so without further ado, I'll just begin. So, as Shubhangi mentioned, my background has been in wildlife sciences and conservation. So that's how I started. I was involved in a couple of research projects. I was working as a research assistant and a program officer with some NGOs and research institutes. So my life was quite different than it is now. But like Shubhangi mentioned, like nature and wildlife has been a big part of my life. So my master's actually took place during COVID, like towards the tail end of COVID. And most of us who've been in that period, we know how isolating or how difficult that time was. And that is somewhere where I sort of sensed a shift in me because wildlife, as you can guess, is a very outdoor, very research intensive. Like you can't do it from like your room. So I started exploring different ways that did not need me to get out. During the whole COVID situation. So that's how I turned to art. I was always interested in art, but I never really took it seriously. I would just do it as a hobby, and we all remember our childhoods, I guess, where a lot of us are interested in creative stuff like crafts, etc. And I never really took it seriously. It was always on the back burner. But this period gave me some time to sort of explore that. And when I combined it with my love for nature and the environment and started creating some artworks around that, that brought me a lot of joy. I loved connecting people with nature through art. Like somebody who's not from the field or cannot understand jargons that are part of research papers, etc. I felt like art was a very easy, open for all way to get somebody to explore nature, explore their own connection with nature. So that's how my second phase of my career started. I started exploring art a little more, and So at this time, I was also working as a program officer with an NGO called Sacred Earth Trust. And whatever time I could get in between, I would draw, and I started posting about it on Instagram. And I saw how so many people got connected to that journey, and how they also started exploring art and nature in their own way. So this sort of gave me a inclination towards trying something more with this, trying to actually combine art and wildlife. So design came in very sneakily, actually. I was freelancing at that point, and I realized that there is a gap area where you have research projects, or you have people in the field of wildlife, and I, being from that background, could potentially work in that gap. So that's why I wanted to upskill myself. And I started being a self-taught designer, just YouTube or trying things out on my own, starting digital art. So all of these things happened very simultaneously, very organically. But I was never sure, okay, this is what I want to do. And I was still in that exploratory phase when I finally decided that, okay, if I want to do this and take this further, I really need to find a course or find some way to accelerate my learning. And that's when I sort of stumbled upon. And I was initially planning to do a full-time course, but then I realized that after a bachelor's and a master's, probably I cannot afford to invest another 3 or 4 years in a full-time course. So with this thought in mind, I was just looking at ways. I know there were a lot of resources available on YouTube and other platforms, but I'm somebody who does better when there is like a structure. So that's what I was looking for when I found and that found the next phase of this career shift. I was very apprehensive about the course, especially that it was online, and I wasn't sure that will I be able to learn, how well would this translate into a real life thing. We will go deeper into the doubts and challenges a little further in my slideshow. But before that, I would just like to take you through the general flow of how things have been and how I reached here, and then take you deeper. So I found the course on And Academy, and I initially enrolled in a certificate course just to see, okay, is this even going to work for me? Because I'm somebody who does better face to face or in a in-person environment, especially again taking back after the whole lockdown and everything. So the course, I found that it was like very well planned, even though at times it was really intimidating. There was always this voice in the back of my head, sort of doubting, can I do this? Or is it even possible to learn like this and actually make something out of this? What helped here was my mentors who sort of guided me through the project, and as Shubhangi mentioned, friends, which I didn't think that I would make. But when we have deadlines and last minute projects, so that turned into like long phone calls about the project, about our lives, about our careers, and that was really something that helped me finish this. There were challenges in terms of time management because I was freelancing at the same time. So sometimes client deadlines and the course deadlines would clash, and I would be in a fix where you always want to do your best, but at times in life, that's the ideal thing is not always possible. And so those were some very challenging times, and again motivating yourself to show up and try something new, because like I am personally somebody who does not enjoy doing things I'm not good at. Like I have that thing where I would feel very hesitant to, like, if I try something and it doesn't work out in my first try, I would be the first person to be like, okay, maybe this is not what I'm supposed to do, and I would want to give up. So in times where I wouldn't be able to do my best, or due to lack of time, or a creative block, those times were really hard to get through and finish those assignments and projects. And yeah, so that's sort of has been my journey through the course. From the certificate course, I decided to continue to a diploma. And so after finishing the course, the next step was, okay, I've done this course, so like I've put that question here, can I call myself a graphic designer now? So that was a big big worry and a big self doubt that I had in mind, because science and research had been my background. So coming from that, now you have a new identity to add to it. So you have all these doubts, like, will I be able to match up to people who are from the design background? Can I compete and get those jobs? So the journey hasn't been easy, because I did continue doing freelance projects and applying my learning while I was doing the course. That helped me have a portfolio with some projects at least. So it wasn't like a completely ground zero situation. And applied to like so many jobs, because I was really confused and I was really unsure about it. Even though after doing the course, it did give me some confidence where I could rebuild my resume, add these new things, and apply these jobs. Um, and then finally I did get a break with another NGO who work with women and education. So there, like, getting that job was another confidence boost. Like, I would tell myself, okay, somebody hired me, and they hired me because they think my work is good. So that confidence boost was something that I really needed at that point. But it wasn't without the doubts, because even though um, we are in a we have the job, but anybody would, like, feel that with a new job, with a new career shift, it is really hard. You doubt yourself, you doubt your capabilities. There are times that you would make mistakes, or you aren't able to deliver. But through all of it, I tried to push myself, took support from my friends and family, and especially my friends from the course, because they sort of knew exactly what was happening. And that experience was an amazing learning experience. I got to apply a lot of what I learned, and also realize that, which is, I think, true for any career trajectory, that we we aren't able to follow all the steps like how we learn in our classes, because in real life you often do not have that much time to engage in going by that step by step the process. But the whole experience was really enriching. I learned so much. And now finally I'm in a place where I am planning to build my own studio, like, where I can combine both of my passion for design and wildlife, and focus on design specific to the conservation and environment industry or the space. Because I feel I would really want to bring in my background and use it to my benefit, rather than, like, just for me personally, because my goal was always that I do not want to switch my field. I wanted to sort of combine both of the things that I really love. So that was, in a gist, my journey so far for the last um, 5 6 years. And yeah, so now I'm going to take you to my next slide, where I would like to talk more about the doubts and how I began. So, like, we know that all of us follow this trajectory where, you finish school, you pick a course, you do a degree, and then you probably engage or move forward with a job in the same industry, and that is it for most people. And that seems safe, and that is something that is very common. So switching something after being in the field for a while was a very difficult decision. There was so much doubt, there were so many questions in my mind regarding, is this even possible? Like, design and science in my head were very different, um, very contradictory fields, and I wasn't sure if this was the right choice for me, and was it even possible, or would it just stay like a hobby? So that was one. And then, will I be able to learn something so different, like I said? And then I started to explore, like, initially through my self taught journey. I was consuming videos or talking to people in the design field, attending some workshops or exhibitions where, to be very honest, there were days where I was like, okay, I don't understand any of this. But there were some common factors, there were some um, experiences that really made me feel like, okay, I think I can do this, especially when it was at the intersection of science and art, like going for an exhibition which was around nature and wildlife, or how people are using design to enhance science communication. Those were the fields which initially drew me to this design and art field, and made me feel like this is possible. And then there was always this question of, where do I even start? So, what I would really like to share with you guys is, initially when I thought about design, I I think I had a very different view. I was thinking that this is going to be something completely different, where I wouldn't really like, this would be completely new, and me coming from no design background will really struggle. But when initially in the classes, when we started discussing, I think one of the first sessions that we had, the mentor asked us to look at signboards and just take a picture of signboards around you and observe what kind of fonts or what kind of colors they have used. And when you think of it that way, design is really all around us. It is something that solves a problem, makes something easier, and we are surrounded by it, but we often fail to notice it. Like, it's in the menus of the restaurants we visit, the billboards, or the books that we are reading, magazines, etc. So when I started looking at like that, and I would often stop and look at posters on the roads or signages. Magazines were like a whole new world. I would spend time on each page to see, okay, how how is the layout placed, and how are things put it in such a way that it follows the eye line. We know where to look, what to see, and all that was silently designed, not just creating something visually attractive or colorful, but it was more functional, and it was research led. Um, Things that we learn during the design courses is also about design thinking, and that never struck me before I was introduced to it in a big way. So the next question was, where do I even start? Like, starting is something so many of us struggle with, because it's so easy to be like, okay, I don't think this is possible, or I'm I am sort of alone in this process, or uh, if it is so hard, let us just leave it. So I was at that place, and I started very small. Like, my first point of how I began is just exploring the world around me, and noticing these patterns, or the typography, or the colors that are used, why it is used. These questions never really popped in my head before, but now I was looking at it with a new lens. Then the next step was not the next step necessarily. What I was also doing was following other designers and illustrators, their work on social media, or like I mentioned, through exhibitions and workshops, just to see how they are working on their practice, how they are solving problems using these techniques that we are learning, and also simultaneously, so sorry, trying to try out these things on my own. Because when we are learning, sometimes it becomes a very passive thing, but unless and until we are going to try those things, those aren't going to work out. Like one of these the experiences that I had was, I remember watching a YouTube video describing a certain design technique, and I was like, okay, I understood. Like I saw the whole video and I was like, okay. And after 2 days, I actually needed to do this for one of my projects, and then I do the first step and I was like, okay, I'm lost, I have no idea how to go ahead. So I would like make notes and try to go step by step, and that's when you really realize that the more you do it, the better your understanding gets, the better you're able to recall it. The course, as I mentioned, was a key to accelerate that learning, because it gave me some structure, which was really something I prefer personally. And also doing those projects during our courses. So we had like portfolio projects, and every module ended in a project. So using that learning, um, and taking that into a product or applying it really helped me understand where I was lacking. Like there were times where I thought I understood what was being explained, and then I would get it all wrong. And there were times which when it feels very demotivating, when it feels like you're not going to get it because people have so much experience, people have spent so much time, and in those times, it was really hard to show up and continue on this journey of exploring design, and taking constructive criticism and feedback, and work on that and incorporate that into making my designs work better. Another thing which I felt I learned during this whole journey, and what I am better at now, is being patient with my process. Uh, Design often, really, really tests your patience, where you create one. Like I was somebody who would, if you ask me to make a design or a logo, I would make like maybe 5 or 6 variations and be like, okay, I like this one, and that's it. But then after the course and during the course, even we were taken through this whole process of iterations, and that was something that was again very challenging, because uh, after a point you feel like, okay, this is not working at all. But what you realize is, with each variation you try, you learn something more about the design, or you learn something more about what you want to do, or where you are going wrong. So it gives you these cues, and that is very, very useful. So, on that note, I would like to show you a brief glimpse of one of the projects that I worked on during the course, and just take you through it very quickly, not dwelling on it. And I also have my Behance here, but I think we'll do that if we have the time. I'm just waiting for this to load. Yeah. Yeah. So I hope everybody can see my screen. I know, like, if you see it like this looks like a lot of work, and it was a lot of work. Uh, and when I'm looking at it now, I feel, how did I even do this? But breaking the whole process down into different steps was something that really, really helped me. Getting mentors' feedback, understanding what was working and what was not. And design is a lot about being able to answer these questions of why you have chosen this color or why this is here. And initially, you feel very frustrated because my reasoning often initially was I like it and this is my favorite color and that's why I'm using it. But the more you learn, you realize that for a design to be good, for it to be effective, you have to be able to show why this is the perfect choice, why this and why not that. So I'm going to just quickly take you through the process. Like I said, it involves a lot of research on the topic. So this particular project was around Gond art, and we were asked to make a brochure for an event. So that initially involved looking at what exactly is this art form, what is the origin, what is the process of making it, what colors are going to be used, what kind of language, like a visual language of this art form, so that we can translate all of that into our design. So that was my first step. And then looking at things and putting it all together was also very important. So this is something again that I learned during the course to um, sort of collate all this information. These are the colors I took out, the patterns, what kind of layouts I could use, what kind of imageries I could work with. And as I mentioned, when I was doing my first design job, I actually made something like this design inception worksheet for my organization to give some clarity, and it also helps when you have to pass on your work or explain it to somebody else, like, okay, so you get everything in one place. What is the purpose, what is the language that is going to be used, and how that will be translated. Going ahead, it involved, picking the colors, and you can see the artworks that I used to isolate these colors and some motifs that I had digitized. Then we also go to the physical aspect of it, where we are looking at the fold patterns, what should come on the margin, how much spacing there should be, affecting its readability. So this is just to give you a quiet glimpse into the design world, like what all it entails and how you can actually use it for a real life project. So you'll see a lot of iterations. Like here, I have only shared a few, but yeah, there were so many little things that we worked on. And this was one of my favorite projects. Like I could see my growth. I could see the learning. Like you can see, these are my initial prints, my initial layouts, and we adjusted things accordingly. What to include, what to take out, little rules that you learn, but only when you're applying it is when you get to see if you've really got it. And often we do not get it in the first try or the second try or the fifth try, because again, learning something new comes with um, this learning curve, which can be a very frustrating project process, because you would want to do the best and you would want to reach the best very soon. But you need to be very, very patient with the project and the process. So this was like, okay, yeah, I think it's clear now. So this was my final outcome, and it was such a joy to get it printed and see it. So these are different pages, and this is like a physical copy of my brochure. And we also designed some collaterals, like things that would go for the event, like book covers, etc. And yeah, so this is what I wanted to share, so that you also get to see that, okay, a lot goes into the design process, and the whole journey isn't linear. There's a lot of going back and forth, and starting something new, especially when it is a different field. Like you have a gap in your whole journey, and then you are trying something new, or whichever field that may be, because I feel we get comfortable with what we have learned and the experience that we have. So going into the unknown with um, without knowing how it's going to end is very, very challenging. So I also want to talk about what helped me, which I have sort of put here in like a few points. Before that, maybe I can talk to you about the resources that help me. So, apart from consuming stuff through social media, like I was following a lot of pages and YouTube, I'm a reader, so books really help me um, sort of connect with what my challenges are, find a community, understand how do I, work through these creative blocks. So, yeah, these books are very good resources, like something that I'd personally recommend. You can take a screenshot so that you can check these out later if this is something you're interested in. So sometimes, like, you are, you might not have a community or people who are going through a similar journey like you, and that can be challenging because being alone, or if you want to talk to somebody or understand how do you get out of a fix, these books can really be a lighthouse that can guide you to solving your issues or giving you a new perspective, like making you feel like you're not alone. Like there were times where I felt, okay, like why am I trying to change everything, um incorporate this new design thing into my life and making things difficult. But sometimes people have a different calling, or it's okay to change your mind. It's okay to take plan B and run with it if that is something you can do. So I think I also want to give forward like these takeaways that really help me, and these are things that I'm still working on. Like I'm still on my journey of becoming a better designer, becoming a confident designer. So these are things that are key takeaways for you and me. These are things that I tell myself, so I thought I would share it with you. So the first being, trust yourself and be kind in your journey. Like I'm somebody who got very judgmental often with my process, and like I mentioned before, like if something wasn't working, I got very impatient with it, or I would just want to give up. So it's important to be kind to yourself, to know that okay, you are doing something completely new. So it's okay to not have it look like XYZ person who may have invested more time, or who may have a completely different journey than you. So, being kind is really important because that allows you to show up even when things are not going your way, or even when you are not in the place that you want to be. Then the next being always exploring and practicing. Like design is something that keeps evolving, and your understanding of it will keep evolving. So exploring different styles, different artists, how they work, what kind of tools they're using. They're like, I think there are so many different ways to do the same thing, and we often may not be using the most efficient method or the most easiest method, and then you stumble upon something that you have been asking your whole life, like, okay, can I do this way? So exploring really helps. And then practicing is very, very important. Like the skills that you learn along the way, just it doesn't have to be to show anybody, it doesn't have to be posted anywhere, but quiet practice, just exploring those techniques, or um, working on something that is difficult for you, or understanding a new or better way while working on a project is something that is very, very valuable in this journey. Then would be to create your own path. This, I think, is not just for designers, it's for everybody. We often compare our journeys to other people, or you know others who have completely different trajectories or completely different journeys. So we would often want to, like, I would have there were times where I would think about, okay, this friend of mine who has a maybe architecture background, and they are able to do this well, and They are getting everything so quickly, and I am not there. But maybe that is the path that you are supposed to take. Like for me, I would not want to miss out on my background, the wildlife conservation path that I took to come to design. I don't think I would ever want to sort of give that up or think like, oh, maybe I should have just done design on only. But this really helps. Then this is something I live by, to not let the fear of the unknown stop you. Often our doubts or the negative voice in our heads becomes a very like a monster, almost stopping you from reaching your potential, because the unknown is exactly what it is. It can be good and it can be bad, but I feel like we often characterize it as bad or scary because, of course, like, walking into a dark room where you can't see things, we always imagine the worst. We always imagine what could go wrong, or you're scared of stubbing your toe on the bed or the table. But also, like, you can uh, reach a completely new and different place, and maybe that's where we're supposed to be. And everything is a learning. So there will be times, I'm sure, in our journeys where we try something out, like a project that you're working on. It does not give you the desired results, or it pushes you so much that you want to give up. But everything is a learning. You can take all these lessons from each of those so called failures. Okay, this didn't work out, but you take that learning out of it, and that failure is not a failure anymore, but a learning experience. And finally, because I'm assuming people from different backgrounds would be here who are thinking that whether you can segue into design, or is there something that you could explore. I would say that use what sets you apart as your superpower. Like, don't try to, like, I initially tried to do that. Like, I would completely skip giving a giving my background out, and I would just introduce myself and be like, okay, yeah, I'm doing this course. But over time, I realized that why do I need to do that? I can talk about my journey. I can use my uh, experience as a wildlife researcher, as a field biologist, and use all of that to make my designs better, or to tap into a gap area where I have an advantage. And that really changes the perspective. So, being your biggest cheerleader is very, very important, because I feel times can get tough. It can get really hard to keep going, but just push yourself, give yourself little treats, acknowledge your wins, find out, I feel like this is another thing that has helped me, like small wins. Somebody appreciating my designs, I would like keep a note of it and look at it when I'm feeling really low or unsure about my own skills. Like, okay, this happened, because I feel like our minds are very good at skipping or skimming over the good stuff, and we hold on to the bad stuff and our failures much more harder than we are supposed to do. So yeah, I think with this I would like to stop, and I hope this whole sharing has been somewhere useful to you, or maybe I answered a question you had in your mind, or made you feel less alone in the process, or maybe you would want to try doing this, or start your own journey. I have also shared my LinkedIn and Behance and Instagram below. So you can take a screenshot with the key takeaways, and we can connect later. If you have any questions about my journey, I'm happy to answer those. And we can begin the question answer session. Thank you so much for being uh, an amazing audience and listening to me. And I hope you have an amazing journey ahead. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Rubina. Your journey is truly inspirational, and I've said that so many times to you. Um, We already have some questions pouring in, but I can see that you're putting it in the chat box. I would request you to put it in the Q&A box that you find at the bottom of your screen. I guess there should be one. If not, then you can put it in the chat box. Uh, I see one question from Alipsa. Alipsa is saying, will they teach us software too? Um, I will let Rubina also answer that, but I would just like to mention that you do get to learn software that are relevant for you, your Figmas and your Adobe InDesign and your Photoshop and Illustrator. But learning software is like learning how to hold a pencil. What you truly want to learn is how to write those letters and your ABCDs, right? So earlier when you're holding one pencil, you're in junior classes, then you grow up, you start holding another pen and then another, like, I don't know, advanced tool, and eventually when you grow up you're not using any pen or pencils, you move to typing. But what is consistent is those letters that you form sentences with, your grammar. So it is very important for us to be able to focus on what truly matters. Yes, tools are important, but I think yesterday Claude Design has come into the picture, and then you will have to constantly upgrade your
Hmm.
tool knowledge as and when the industry sort of introduces another tool into the mix. But what you do with that software, that sort of remains consistent. Yeah,
Yeah.
Rubina, you can also add.
Yeah, just to add on to that, so yes, we do learn the softwares necessary. Like I was a complete beginner with all things software, and I'm not good with technology. So this was one of my key concerns, especially with the online mode of learning. But before the course start, we had like a software boot camp where they introduced these tools to us, and later we use the tools for our projects. That really helped. And like I said, seeing it or just listening to your instructor talk about the tools was one half of it, but taking that on your own time and trying it out was a completely different story. And the more you do it, the better you get at it. Like, because I use Illustrator more, I'm more comfortable with that, but there are still things with Photoshop that I struggle with. So these are things which take time, but yeah, you do get the tools, you get introduced to them, and then you take it forward in your own journey. Yeah.
Right. Another person is asking, what do you think of AI? Are you confused or worried about, uh, like me, share how you pick AI tools for your work?
Okay, so I may be the odd one out here because I try not to use AI at all, because it comes with a huge environmental cost. And as designers, I feel like wherever we can make the conscious choice of not using it, we should always do that. But yeah, we are in this world where we are expected to use it, and it makes things so much quicker. And there are some uses for it, but I would say, I think your fear is like, what everybody's been talking about, like, will they replace the designers, or um, will we be out of jobs? But I think something that remains in our hands is the design thinking aspect of it, that I don't think AI could ever replicate. But yeah, I know it is scary with so much pressure coming on to do things quicker and uh, churn out these outputs. But I feel the resistance is also there. There are a lot of people who are taking these stands of not using AI. And I feel like if you really want to use it, I'm not the best person to guide you regarding the tools that may be like very prevalent, because like I said, I avoid using it. um, but yeah, I don't think that it's going to be a huge threat. Yeah.
Yeah, the thinking, I agree with you, Rubina. The thinking still remains a lot with us only.
Yeah.
At least for now, I would say.
Yeah, for now.
Evelyn has another question. I completed my first year last year and would like to proceed with second year of design. I was undecided between graphic design and multimedia, but I want to explore UX UI further, which I believe is part of web design. I stopped my BA career to focus on a different career with a more creative outlet. Would studying UX UI design further assist as part of my journey with multimedia?
I think so. I did graphic design, but initially, like the certificate course, like the foundation was same for graphic design and UI UX and interior design, because the basics remain the same, and then you just branch out into their specific use cases and where you can use it. So I am also like like I use different mediums for in my design. I use traditional media, I use digital media, and it depends on how you want to take it further, where you see yourself ultimately, and maybe you can ask yourself what are the tools or what are the skills I would need, and then go backwards to understand what you need to do to get those skills, and that should be helpful in your journey. And good luck.
Yeah, I just want to add that a lot of these skills also sort of overlap. What you learn
Mhm.
in graphic, you can also apply in UI or multimedia. What you learn in multimedia, you can also apply a lot in UX. So these are not, I would say, yeah, these are very different streams, but like there is a lot of skill overlap.
Yeah,
If you have an aptitude for more research and thinkability, I would say that you go for UX. And if you're more of a visual storyteller, then go for a multimedia or a graphic specialization. But
makes
as
sense.
Rubina said, that the foundation sort of remains the same. Alipsa has another question.
Mhm.
She's saying that I actually came from a BTech background, but my heart always lied in the field of design, that is graphic design.
Okay.
But I passed out in 2020 and it's 2026. I am a little down that I'm completely new. So I doubted myself. I should start my career as it's already uh, a few years of gap. But as
Mhm.
you shared your journey, I feel that there is no age to start and go ahead. Thank you, Rubina. So it's not a question, it's a thank you. Okay, great.
Okay, that is amazing. And we are in the same boat, and I feel like, especially in a world which is filled with comparison, which is filled with people putting the best versions of themselves on, say, social media, or people around, like nobody's going around telling about the struggles or the backstory of things. So yeah, like each journey is unique, and I know that there are going to be days when you feel like, okay, we made the biggest mistake, but you persevere, and I feel like everybody ends up exactly where they need to be
Yeah.
ultimately. Yeah.
Some more context, Alypsa. I don't know if it'll make sense or not, but we have in our courses people who have not even started their graduation. So a 16-year-old and maybe somebody who's had a career of 50 years coming back to education at the age of 60, 65, 70. So we have had those kind of people also come back to us just because they wanted to start their like journey at the age of 60, 65. So yeah, there is no age to like sort of start if you've had a successful career also, and then also you want to pivot. These are the kind of courses that you go to, and I'm not even talking about and academy, just design learning or learning in general
Yeah.
does not require for you to be a certain age. So yeah, I would definitely encourage that. Um, Somebody is asking platforms where we can search for freelance design opportunities, which work or remote opportunities. That's an
Okay.
interesting question. How do you find your freelance work, Rubina? Is it
Okay,
just
so I think there are like multiple ways to go about it. So initially, like I mentioned, I started posting my work on social media. So I got through a few opportunities through there. And then I was also part of like some design communities. So they have WhatsApp groups, or they have mailing lists, and they keep posting different sort of openings. Maybe if you drop me an email, I can share my email in the chat. I can share some links to these groups where these opportunities are posted. And again, like slowly, when you build your portfolio, like you show your work, and if you like have done one project with a particular person, they refer you. So I've gotten a lot of projects through that, like word of mouth, or referred after I've done a project, because then there is sort of credibility, or there is a past experience, and we know, like we sort of, sorry, just, yeah, so we have this base that helps us. But yeah, she like posting about your work or showcasing your work is a good way to go. Then being part of these communities or groups. LinkedIn also, but I haven't had much success with that. But I know people who have had.
Do you also use platforms like Upwork or Fiverr, etc., which have some opportunities for
I've heard
design?
about them. Like I have been introduced to them, but personally I haven't really tried those. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So I think if we have any more questions, we can take them right now.
Yeah. I'll just put my email address.
Okay, cool. Shruti is also asking, hi, I am from a non-design background and I want to start from zero. Uh, but as a career, I want to pursue UI UX because design thinking and UX part is something that attracts me. And I'm excited to learn. But when I consult with an academy about courses, they suggest me that I should start from graphic. But I've already had 13 months career gap and a switch from BPO to UI UX. If I start with graphic, first UI UX journey might be take long time. I will have to switch again and lean into UI UX from the beginning because graphic and UI UX is totally different thing. And also in my resume, it shows my instability if I will switch again and again. So what should I do? Can you suggest?
Okay. So I'm not sure about the suggestion from and why they said that you should start with graphic design. Uh, I just feel like you need to be sure about what you want to do. I know that we look to other people's suggestions, but maybe explore a little more, research a little more, and like I said before, uh, think about the final goal, and then work backwards to what are the skills necessary. If you are seeing a future in UI UX, then I think you should totally do that. And as we discussed before, the foundation with graphic design and UI UX, the design thinking is more or less the same. Like the foundation, what you get from the graphic design course would also be the same, and they are kind of overlapping. But yeah, UI UX is not my specialty, so I wouldn't be able to help you a lot suggesting what you should do. But I would suggest exploring this and researching a bit more, and maybe Shubhangi can help you connect with somebody from and who can guide you better also, somebody from the mentors or somebody. Yeah.
Right. So Shruti, as Rubina has also spoken about it, the foundation for graphic and UI UX is uh, a lot overlapping in terms of fundamentals that you learn. I would say UI UX is a little bit advanced. It requires you to have some knowledge about personas, etc. But if you switch from a entirely different background, starting with graphic, it sort of eases you into the field. It doesn't feel overwhelming. So I am guessing that whoever's advised you to go with a graphic course, usually it's advice for people who come from a supreme, like a very different field. So if I come from, say, I don't know, if I'm a teacher and have no background, it's an easier entry into the field if I start with graphic. If I want to sort of level up into UI UX, will it take a little bit more? Maybe like 3 months more it'll take. However, will you become a better designer if you have your fundamentals correct? Yes, it will really take you one step forward with um, getting your fundamentals and your foundation correct so that your foundation becomes more robust that way. So yeah, if you want to speak again, you can connect with me on LinkedIn. I can also put you in touch with a course counselor if you want to, or a mentor if you want to. um, so yeah, we can definitely talk about it again. It is not going to be a lot longer if you go for a graphic also. We have had cases uh, in and itself where people have gone for a graphic design diploma till a 9 months course, and then they've pivoted to a UI UX because they wanted to have that specialization of graphic before moving to UI UX, and now they were successful UI UX career, and not one but like many cases I can name. So now they have like two certifications, a graphic design diploma and maybe a UI UX diploma or a PG diploma. Um, so it's not unheard of. It's usually a very common trajectory. I understand your concern also. But yeah, let's talk. Let's like we can connect later and then I can sort of put you in touch with one of our course counselors. I think we have another question.
And while we are looking at that, I would also feel like when you are talking about coming from a non-design background and starting from zero, it would also really help that you build your portfolio simultaneously, or maybe I shouldn't put it in those words. Just try practicing the skills through YouTube videos. Small things like if you want to just accelerate your learning and apply those, because even after you do the course, if you don't have things to show, which is a good thing about the course, that you actually get to build your portfolio. Meanwhile, you all your projects are uploaded to Behance, like you have to do that. But I would urge you to start doing small projects, like think of the kind of work that you want to get, give yourself prompts, and work on that, so that you are it won't be a stagnant point. Then you won't feel like there's a gap, but you're still working towards it, so that could also help you. Yeah.
Alexa is saying that I do not have a question, but one thing I've mentioned that I have to leave you with is that you've inspired me so much and you gave me that positivity. I'm looking at your work on Behance and it's really super amazing. Thank you so much. So
Oh,
I
so
think sort of end the webinar on this note. But before I take in last questions, if any, I would like to sort of ask one question which I really like asking all of the designers. So,
okay.
Rubina, if you were to redesign something as small as a safety pin or as big as the Delhi Metro railway system, what would you redesign?
Oh, this is a difficult one. I think I've been asked this before and I was like, I don't know. Um, yeah, I think I still don't know. Like, I don't have a good answer. But
Is there something that you uh, feel really passionately about and you have been like sort of thinking about designing and over again? I usually have like my passion projects in my brain and then over and over again I keep coming back to those. Do you have one of those kind of things?
sort of. So, like, I can talk about a passion project that I have, which I really want to work on, and I've been putting this to the side. So, basically, I feel like a lot of us, we are not in touch with our native languages, and that is something that, as kids, it would be really boring if you were to learn another language which you don't really use, or you find that as a differentiator when you're in a different city. So I want, like, and now after being grown up, and you want to connect to those roots, and there are so many stories which I feel like our grandmothers would say in our native languages, which are getting lost. So there's like a picture book sort of thing that I want to design, where you would have uh, like small poems or small stories with their English translations and with the native language, so that it can carry forward to the next generation. Because I think there'll be a point where, the speakers of that language, or any language for that matter, would slowly dwindle, because we're already seeing that. Like, I can speak Malayalam, but my brother can't. So I feel like in the next level, it's just going to die off. And I don't want that, because that would mean losing so many stories, so many memories. So that, yeah, that's something that I really want to work
Wonderful.
on.
Thank you so much for doing this with us, Rubina. Your journey is truly inspiring. Your work is really, really good. Thank you for all the participants who stuck around till the end of this session. I know it's a little late, but thank you for joining us today and asking such amazing questions. If you have any queries, you can write to us on info@andacademy.com, or you can just like find us on our website and call us. If you're really interested in wanting to enroll for the course, I suggest that you really like look at the form that I'd shared earlier, the QR code which is in your chat, and fill that form. Um, yeah, that's about it. I hope that we'll be seeing you all in class soon. With that, I say good night and bye bye.
Bye. Good night. Thank you so much.